The Defense Intelligence of Ukraine, often abbreviated DIU or HUR, claims that its primary unit, also known as the Phantoms or the Ghosts, hit 5 high-value Russian systems in occupied Crimea in one coordinated package. The RT-70 Deep Face Radio Telescope, the GLONASS site under a dome, the Utes-T air traffic radar, the MR-10M1 coastal radar, and the 96L6AP radar that feeds several S-400 air defense batteries. As of this writing, this claim is public and repeated across Ukrainian outlets. Independent satellite confirmations for each of the targets is still pending. What the claim is that the DIU released night strike footage and listed the targets. State outlet Ukraine Forum summarized the list and attributed it directly to DIU, noting Prymary's ongoing campaign against Crimea's air defense. According to the Ukraine Forum, quote, "Here's a fresh list of high-value targets: the Utes-T radar, the RT-70 radar telescope, the GLONASS dome, the MR-10M1 MISS radar, the 96L6AP radar of multiple S-400 batteries." Specialized defense publications, Defense Express and Euromaidan Press, amplified the same target set and emphasized the strategic weight of the RT-70 hit. According to Defense Express, quote, "The RT-70 strike is more important than the S-400 radar loss because of its role in space communication and navigational support." As far as what the systems actually were and why this matters, the RT-70, also called the P-2500, is a 70-meter radar telescope at the Yevpatoria, I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that, Center of Deep Space Communications, historically used for planetary radar and deep space work. And after Russia's 2014 takeover of Crimea, widely reported as tied to space communications and supported tasks. There are only a handful of RT-70 class dishes in the former Soviet network. Replacement is not trivial, meaning that once this has been damaged, which what you can see, means that it would be extremely difficult to actually replace this or even repair it. The GLONASS is Russia's global navigation satellite system comparable to GPS. It provides positioning, navigation, and timing. The timing piece underpins command links, munitions, and logistics. The actual GLONASS dome on Crimea is generally a radome that shelters satellite communications and navigational support hardware. S-400 is Russia's long-range air defense system. Built around a family of radars and launches, the 96L6 series radar, including the 96L6AP, is an all-altitude acquisition radar that provides target data to the battery and helps cue interceptors. Losing it degrades the local air picture until neighbors basically fly right on top of you. The Utes-T is an air traffic and air picture radar complex that feeds altitude and range data into regional control. Previously, Ukrainian reporting described it as operating in the L-band with a wide area envelope. Knocking it out basically makes it much more complicated for tracking low, slow, and small threats like drones. And lastly, the MR-10M1 MISS is a mobile coastal surveillance radar family operating in the X-band, used to detect and track surface vessels along the shoreline, useful for spotting uncrewed surveillance vessels and small craft. So both propaganda and the fog of war are real things in combat, so we can't take all of this at face value. However, if DIU's list of targets that they've hit actually holds up, then 3 things likely follow. First, the S-400 battery that depended on the 96L6AP will run a thinner picture until adjustment radars compensate for this loss. This creates a timing gap that favors low-altitude drones and standoff munition. Second, removing the Utes-T and the MR-10M1 reduces the maritime and approach lane awareness on Crimea's west coast, where many Ukrainian one-way drone flights route over the water. And lastly, any disruption on the peninsula GLONASS support and space communication introduces friction into the Russian targeting and the C2 timing. So, long story short, if this actually turns out to be true, DIU and SOF have effectively damaged the space-based, local radar-based, and the maritime-based radar for weeks, possibly longer, depending on how long it takes the Russians to actually repair these, if some of these things may take much, much longer to actually repair. So this could potentially be a fairly substantial blow to the Russians.